Yo, what's happening? What's happening? This is the intro podcast. The spotlight for today is Montez's cooking.
Oh my God.
My God. Give us some feedback, sis.
She can't even get it right.
She can't even get it out. I'm gonna let her catch a moment and share.
Mm-hmm.
They good?
Mm-hmm. 5.
Yeah.
They 5? On a scale of 1 to 10.
They blessed. These days blessed.
Bless.
All right.
She said bless. What you need is in the house, baby. It's in the house.
Montez, where can we find you or an order from you, bro?
You know, anything as far as social media, Facebook, Instagram. Facebook is just my name, Montez Toombs. That's Montez. Last name is Too. M is in Mary, B is in boy, S is in Sam. Any other social media is going to be MR, the number 2, and then MBS.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls everywhere around the world? I am excited. Yeah, this introduction y'all don't normally get, but I get like this when I have certain guests. But first of all, it's your boy Taz. You are listening to or watching In the Spotlight podcast. I'm joined with my co-host, the one and only
Felecia Kamberly Rose.
Hi, Felecia. How you doing?
It is well with my soul.
Come on, church. Good. That hair is herring, by the way. I'm loving every bit of it.
I hope it don't fall off. Praise God.
Shut it up. Ladies and gentlemen, back with us, we have original Spotlight family. You all should remember her. I want to say from last year. Dr. Faith is in the house. And so when y'all know whenever Dr. Faith is in the house, I disappear. But Felecia is going to build with her on today about fibroids. This is Fibroid Awareness Month. And honestly, for me, it was focused on women for me, but then prior to starting this interview, I'm going to stick around because I need to know a couple of things, because this is also going to educate men on how to work with their wives or their girlfriends whenever they're going through this. So without further ado, the one and only Felecia Kamberly Rose and Dr. Faith. Let's go.
Dr. Faith, I'm so happy to have you here today. Thank you for joining us again. We have reached this era where Black women that look like us have decided they are putting the capes down and they are picking up self-care. So you have arrived for such a time as this. Thank you so much for gracing us with your expertise. We are so glad to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, just, to be here and share a message that I think is timely and needed. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. For people who look like us, who are going day to day, just being women, being super women, who are dealing with pain and not really knowing why, what is a fibroid? What is it at its core?
That's a great question. A fibroid is a firm mass that typically isn't cancerous. And a lot of times people confuse the term fibroid with like ovarian cysts. But a fibroid, a lot of times physicians will describe it in terms of like fruits. Like you have a fibroid the size of a grape. You have a fibroid the size of an orange, for example. But the consistency of it, when we're doing surgery, it actually feels like cauliflower or broccoli. Really firm, tumorous growths of the uterus that are not really cancerous, but they can transform, but they take up space in a woman's womb. They can cause issues.
And so that's the issue, is that it's taking up space. And as it's taking up space, what else is it doing? Like, why do we need to know about it?
The reason why you need to know about it is because you're not gonna know when you have it necessarily. They can be little sneaky things. I've had patients who have uteruses that are, 4 to 5 months in size, and they had no clue. They just thought they were bloating. And so again, it's a space occupying lesion in the womb, and that can cause you to have heavy bleeding, cause you to have cramping, cause you to be infertile. So I don't know if you know about Venus Williams' story. It came out like
I did. I just saw it. Yeah.
That right there, that made me so sad. That you have a woman of influence, of impact, of resources, right? Who still went years, even decades without a fibroid being diagnosed. So imagine other women who are not as, influential or in that particular position. I think she's in her 40s, and I'm not sure she has children, but it's a situation where you are literally, I'm not trying to get really extra here, but you're tampering with your destiny, your fertility, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Right? You don't know what you don't know. And so there is a huge gap between patients and providers, because a lot of times you're told, oh, you have a fibroid, do nothing, right? Only to do nothing and then be told moments later, get a hysterectomy. But that gap of what did we do, what was the education, that is still a huge issue. That is still a huge issue.
And it's really unfortunate. Now, I heard you say that there's a difference between fibroids and ovarian cysts. Is there a way for us to know the difference or feel the difference so we know when it's time to act?
Yeah, so you basically want an ultrasound to take a look at your gynecological organs to see, is there a growth in the ovary, is there a growth in the uterus or any other places. But typically fibroids, the symptoms that you should be looking out for are prolonged, like heavier bleeding, longer bleeding between your cycles, pain. Sometimes the size can cause you to have issues with like constipation, pressure on your bladder, or you're maybe in a season or a situation where you're just finding it very difficult to get pregnant.
So what do you say to, I don't know if you have to deal with this, but in my profession, I have to deal with TikTok said. And no matter what you say to a person, they will come back with what I saw on TikTok. Or TikTok said that I should do this and I should do that. And so that's why I didn't go to the doctor. How do you combat, it's not ignorance, but it's misinformation. How do you combat misinformation when it comes to fibroids?
I think that's a great question. And funny enough, I get a lot of the TikTok said and Dr. Google and Instagram a lot more when it comes to pregnancy, actually. When it comes to fibroids, I think what I'm realizing is there's a huge lack of awareness to even get to TikTok said. Does that make sense? Half the time I'm trying to explain what it is at baseline. Right? Because what happens is, people will obviously go to TikTok, but they'll also go to family, right? And so when you now talk about it to family, then everybody starts talking, and mama, auntie, sister, cousin told you, oh yeah, I had a hysterectomy. Oh yeah, I had this. But it's just that situation where I don't necessarily think we're talking to each other about it. But when it comes to TikTok said, I literally ask my patients, well, what did they say, and why, and was it a TikToker that actually was a medical provider, or was it just somebody's opinion?
See, that's the thing. And you said, family, like we do a lot of Big Mama said just use a little vinegar, or Big Mama said just take a bath in some Clorox, and this is how we end up further along, and then we can't do anything about it medically because we tried to tend to it to ourselves. Now, I see that you've said that fibroids affect 70% of women by age 50, and it's usually Black women and Asian women. What is it about our DNA that makes us more susceptible?
That's a great question. We don't actually know to that level, to be honest with you.
Okay.
There are, reports of obviously genetic factors. You can't ignore stress being a factor for fibroid growth. There's also vitamin D deficiency. And so when you think of women of color, a lot of women of color are vitamin D deficient. And that is linked to at least associated with fibroids. And so a lot of times I tell patients, do you know your vitamin D level? Have you got it checked out? Are you taking supplements? Because it can help slow the growth. And that's not common knowledge.
Okay. And so, what are some early signs other than, is it just the painful periods? Because I remember I was at work and I was telling her, oh, I'm having this and I'm having that. And she's like, that's not normal. No, for me, it was, because that's all I've ever known since I was 12 or 13, that I would have a period for this long and I would have these blood clots. So, when do we pick up on, hey, this is not normal? How many times does it have to happen for me to say, I shouldn't be experiencing this, let me go to the doctor?
In my opinion, it can happen just once. You can go get checked out. At least you've established care, you have a conversation. Because even if it's a one-time situation or 2 months, at least you open that door to education, right? So the doctor can run through, well, it could be, it could be fibroids. It could be, maybe your hormones are off balance. It could be, maybe you're pregnant, So at least you are establishing care with a physician, and then you're establishing a relationship of trust, and hopefully some education can happen as well. So I don't ever necessarily advocate for sitting in pain and in silence for months at a time, especially when you don't know what's going on. Now, once you've established, oh, it could be this, then you kind of understand. But when it's a situation where it's undiagnosed, that's how you open the door to delayed diagnosis, misdiagnosis, so I would say go in.
Okay. And so we mentioned racial disparities, because we talked about Venus and how she had it all. She had the influence, she had the money, she had the access, but she still didn't get the answers. So what do you recommend to Black women like me who don't have the money, who or maybe are people that are in rural areas, and we've dealt with that disparity where doctors really don't believe us and that they don't truly believe we're in pain? How do we try again and trust again?
I think that's a great question. And honestly, I think that's a concern beyond just the diagnosis of fibroids. But I do recommend asking questions. And I do recommend continuing to ask those questions until you get an answer that you trust. And that can land into second opinions. So I do see people who come to see me just to get my second opinion because they trust me. So you have to find somebody you trust, then ask those questions. And if that doesn't work out, get a second opinion. Kind of like what Venus did, right? She kept going until she got that second opinion that she trusted, and then she got treated. And I think that's one of the things that you can definitely do, regardless of where you're at.
And we truly appreciate you leading the charge for us and bringing this awareness to the forefront, because it's not something that's talked about. Women rarely talk about their periods, and they rarely talk about their pain, because number one, people don't believe us, or they just say, you're strong, you can deal with it. So we appreciate you just wanting to help. So thank you so much for all that you do. Now, I heard that you have a book. Can you tell us about your book?
Thank you. Those words mean a lot, actually, to be honest with you. Thank you so much. I have 2 books, actually. So at one point in time, I was using this story over and over again for women in my office. The biblical story about the woman with the issue of blood, right?
Right.
Who reached out, touched the hem of Jesus' garment, and got healed. And so when you think about fibroids, it's also the issue of fertility. Can you get pregnant? Can you have a baby? Can you sustain a pregnancy? So I would use that story sometimes to help women increase their faith for healing, because I'm a firm believer that God has the final say, right? And not just the doctor's report. So I have one book that's focused on, a gynecologist's perspective about faith, and that's called Peace RX. Then the book I'm coming out with this month, I'm super excited about, is called Take Up Space. And it's a book that kind of talks about all things fibroids, from holistic living to how to advocate for yourself. And it also has some journaling and prompts inside of it, because some of the things that I've realized is there is a connection between mind, body, soul, and spirit. And so
I love that.
Right. So when it comes to fibroids, there's actually been reports about, emotional trauma, right? And that can be from unforgiveness or being bitter, right? And so this book also has some areas for journal prompting, so you're also understanding all facets of what the fibroids can mean in your life. So for me, I see a fibroid as a red flag for a woman to live more empowered, to live healthier, because when nothing is done, it not only takes space in your womb, but in other areas of your life.
That's good. That is good. And you talk about health at a holistic approach, mind, body, and soul. So what do you say to the person who has been dealing with this pain, who has been dealing with these issues, and they've given up hope and it's overtaken them emotionally and physically? What do you say to that person that feels like they're already too far gone?
You're never too far gone. That's my point.
Amen.
You are never too far gone. Because the reality is, I don't have the final say. That's the truth. I don't have the final say, but what you have to understand is what you just said is your mindset. It's your mindset about your own health, right? If you think about it, you just look at, okay, let's talk about Venus again. She's a champion, so she has to have developed the mindset of a champion, right? So you have to have a certain level of faith and belief in you being a healthy, whole woman. So I don't believe you're ever too far gone unless that's what you desire to believe.
That's what you've chosen. Amen. That's good. That's good. So when people encounter you, they just don't encounter you in your medical mind. They encounter your heart, because I can feel your heart. When you say you're never too far gone, somebody needs to hear that. They need to hear more than a diagnosis. They need to hear a proclamation. So I appreciate your take and your perspective on this disease, that it does not have the final say. God still can and will get involved if we allow it. And so what are some of the prompts that you have in your book? I don't want to give too much away, but I want to tease the people to get them to want to get the book. Because when I saw that you were doing another book, I got excited, but I did want to interact with the PCRX, because I was like, oh my God, we take the Bible for granted sometimes. Sometimes we look at it as just a story, but it all starts with a story. And so when I saw that you were taking that part of the Bible and making it real, making it flesh, that meant so much to me. But what are the prompts in the new book?
Well, it's the title of the book is actually called Take Up Space. So that's one of the primary prompts, is for you to kind of shift your perspective about, okay, yes, you have a fibroid, which is a space occupying lesion in your body. What else that is negative is taking up space in your body, in your life, right? Because I do believe that we started this conversation talking about self-care, right? And I don't think people understand the importance of that. I believe that, as women, we are powerful beyond belief. But Amen. God has given us purpose in these bodies, our vessels, and I do believe that we have to take care of our bodies, our vessels of purpose, right? And so it's a moment for people to, look at the book, slow down enough to be introspective and connect with, their feelings and their symptoms and things like that. Because I think, like you said, it's more than just going to the doctor, getting a diagnosis and doing surgery. Because guess what fibroids do? They come back. They can come back.
Come back? Even after surgery?
Yeah, they can.
Oh.
That they can. And so that's what this call is all about, where whatever those root causes for them, whether it was unforgiveness, bitterness, poor self-care, poor eating, just not exercising, all these different things, it's a red flag to wake up to deal with it. Because, they can come back.
Okay. So even after I've gotten the diagnosis, I've gotten my treatment, I still have a responsibility to maintain it.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. But that still gives you power. That's still empowering. That's still saying I have a say-so in my life and in my testimony. So that's not a damning thing. It's to say you still have control.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I'm not gonna lie, when I first heard about it, I'm not saying I felt hopeless, but it felt kind of gloomy. But hearing a professional say it's not over for you, you still have hope, and you still have an opportunity to be a partner in your testimony with God. I still have things that I need to do. You talked about vitamin D and using the right supplements. You talked about having the right perspective. You mentioned poor diet. What are things that we can make better in our diet that will help keep our transformation going?
I love that. I'm a huge fan of detox living, right? So detoxing from negative mindsets, negative people, negative environments, all of that. You can't ignore that affects your body. So when you think about fibroids, so right now what's going on is the whole conversation about hormonal imbalance, right? Whether that's through menopause or PCOS, and which is very valid. But the thing about fibroids is there's an imbalance in your estrogen levels, right? So that estrogen levels promotes growth, right? Estrogens are found in our environment, right? And that can be from hormones in certain foods. There's certain hygienic products can be hormonal disrupting, right? One thing that I don't know if people realize is cortisol, which is your hormone for stress, also affects your estrogen balance, right? Which is why it's important to, to pray, meditate, have a sense of, peace, hence the book, Peace RX, right? In your life. So those are some of the things that you definitely can do. But when I talk about detox, your liver is an organ in your body that helps cleanse the blood and detoxes yourself, right? And I like the question because one thing that needs to be called out is if you were to go to Amazon right now and type in fibroid, you're going to see a whole list of products. So there is a need for this, and what's happening is the alternative holistic marketplace is trying to fill that need. This is not prescriptions from doctors, right? These are herbs and all these different things. I'm not saying I neither promote or refute any of them, right? But what I'm saying is the fact that you can go to Google and type in fibroid and see so many quote unquote made solutions for it tells you that women are suffering from it, tells you women are seeking solutions.
And it's just crazy that they throw all these things at you, but they don't tell you the why. They just say, here's this, try it. But they don't tell you why you need it and what to expect in the healing process. And so that's why it's important to take a holistic approach. We still want to go to the doctor, girls, women, ladies, husbands, send your ladies to the doctor. They deserve to be taken care of while they take care of everybody else. So again, we have Dr. Faith with us. She is leading the charge for Fibroid Awareness Month. It is in the month of July. So where else can we find you? Where else can we connect with you, Dr. Faith?
Thank you for that. So I, just trying to be obedient, created a coaching platform called Myoimani. So you can find me at Myoimani, which basically Myo means uterus, Imani means faith, and it's just the basis for what I do, what and why I do what I do. And it's basically I have coaching, which again talks about the mind, body, spirit connection and education. And the goal is to help women in a group, because what I would love to see is women who have this diagnosis coming together at the end of the day, sharing your testimonies of how their quality of life was better, or they were able to conceive and have a baby, just good reports. And I think those positive testimonies and good reports further helps people, right, share their stories and know that it's not, the end of the world to have such a diagnosis. So you can find me at Myoimani, and then you can find me at iamdrfaith.md as well.
Oh, yeah. So when they find you, are your books open? Can we actually make an appointment? Or are you booked busy, Dr. Faith?
You can make, no, this is my passion, this is my heart right here. You can make an appointment. I have www.myoimani.com. You can go there and sign up and make an appointment. Then there is also my Peace RX book is out right now on Amazon. And I'll send you guys the link. I do have a link to pre-order the Take Up Space book that's coming out this month.
Okay, you said it's coming out this month. Do we have an exact date, or we're still working on it?
It's going to come out before July 31st. If you're in Houston, I have an in-person book launch event. So it's going to be out in time for the book launch event in person. July 31st.
So to all our viewers who are out in Texas, please connect with Dr. Faye so you can be in the room and feel this love and this passion that she has for women and their bodies and their health and their success. And so again, we are so grateful to have you. Thank you for coming back. You know, if you come back again, you're family at this point. You're already on strike too. So the third time you come back, we're sisters at that point. So thank you so much for taking time with us. We appreciate you. We again appreciate your passion. Like, I felt a couple of pains, but you know, I'm gonna be all right because I'm gonna go ahead and make me an appointment and see what's really going on with this body of mine. So thank you again, Dr. Faye.
Dr. Faye.
Yes.
From a man's standpoint, what do we do whenever our girlfriends or wives are going through this fibroid process?
I love that question. I think support and asking what she wants. Mm-hmm. Right? Is it a situation where you're like, I want less pain, so you can go throughout your day? Is it a situation where you want to, you know, you're having issues with bleeding and you can't wear white or go on that vacation? Mm-hmm. Is it a situation where you guys have been trying to have a baby and it's just not working? Yeah. So it really depends on what she wants. And then I do believe that if there are relationship issues that need to be dealt with, like bitterness and unforgiveness, that conversation is had, because we can't deny that the body keeps score, right, of certain things. So, so those are the things I would advise for our fellow supportive men.
One thing that I noticed throughout this interview is how mental health plays a part in everything that you do. For the relationships that are going through situations where it's not the easiest right now, what are some steps that they can do together to help ease that tension so that that fibroid process is not as quote unquote thick as it already is?
So I think that's a great question. And because the book Take Up Space will have prompts for journaling, I think that is something that they can do together. And what I realize is sometimes in relationships, the woman may or may not be vulnerable to share whatever past relationship traumas that she might have had. Mm-hmm. So I think, you know, it could be an opportunity to talk that out. Yeah. Be vulnerable, and you may learn about your woman a lot more than you thought just by having that conversation, because a woman is going to probably welcome the fact that a man wants to, you know, engage in this aspect of her life and her being.
Yeah. Absolutely. My last thing is one thing that you guys, you know, I'll be eavesdropping. I'm nosy. One thing that y'all were talking about is the fact of having to unlearn things that our aunties and grandmothers taught us to do. You know, I'm a Mississippi boy. Felicia's a Mississippi girl. I remember whenever I was young, if there was anything wrong with your body, we would go down and get some red clay dirt and some vinegar, and that would fix everything. How do we get to the point to where we can unlearn things that have proven not to be healthy for us, but it's so indoctrined in us that we still depend on those things?
Having conversations.
Yeah.
Having conversations, because what will happen is you open that door and somebody will say, I tried this. Did it work though?
Yeah.
Did it work though? Did it work?
Did it work? Yeah, did it work though? And so that's how you start breaking some of these, you know, misconceptions and myths. Because if you think about it, you know, we're talking about family situations. how many times have there been situations where people don't share even a cancer diagnosis?
Yeah.
Right? So I think just, being vulnerable to have those conversations.
Wait, you just opened my mind for something. Is fibroids a generational thing?
So, it depends on what perspective you want to take to answer this question. I don't believe it's necessarily a generational thing, but it does it can run in families, especially in women of color. And so that's why, my Peace RX book is to really get people to understand the spiritual aspect of it. I do believe that you just can't ignore it.
No.
So, I can go on and on and on about certain concerns that I have about it, which is why, I see fibroids as destiny delayers and destiny blockers, because what I am tired about, let me tell you what really, really drives me. Okay. You have a community of women, especially women of color, who are doing the most, who are sacrificing themselves, their bodies for society, for culture, for family, only to ignore the fact that they had a fibroid and realize they can't have a baby. Right? So when I read Venus Williams' story, I don't know if she has a baby, but you're 45 and you're a world champion, and you're telling me that your destiny was tampered with, your time nobody knew, and that's crazy to me that you can be, hold yourself up to a standard to be a good woman, to do all these great things, but then at the end of the day you can't even get your heart's desire for a baby. And so the medical community does a great job of giving you the worst of the worst, right? The other day, I actually delivered a woman who was 52. She had a baby at 52. Okay, and she would message me. We would connect just to have face talks. Okay, just to have face talks. That needs to be a podcast, huh?
That's what I was about to say. Like,
I talked to you last time about this. We can make it happen.
Look, I'm telling you, when you said that, something clicked in my head. Was like, she got to do something with face talk.
I'm here for it.
Oh yeah.
I drive to Houston once a month and produce the whole show.
I feel something on that, but that is, people need to be able to connect with other people's faith, that somebody that may not be going through what you're going through right now, or they've been through that journey, that can say it's still possible, even if we have to take another route.
So my favorite scripture is, nothing is impossible with God. I don't know what it is about me, but you can't tell me something is not possible. You just can't. Personally. And then even the Bible talks about certain levels of faith. Little faith, great faith. And to me, what really shocked me is, it talks about how God can't even do certain miracles because of your unbelief. Let's just marinate on that, not because God can't do it, but because of your unbelief. So, but I feel like that's why I'm excited to just kind of have women, get their faith up and just know a fibroid is not the end of the world, and go from there.
Absolutely. So. Anything else, Felecia?
So you have the book Take Up Space that's coming out this month. Before they get the book, what's the best way to take up space in a world that sees us as less than? How can we as Black women take up?
I love that question, and I'm gonna give you two answers. Okay, one is purpose, right? Can you hear me? One is purpose. One of my favorite, obviously he's passed, Miles Monroe. He was all about purpose, vision, and leadership. I think as women, if you are focused in on purpose, which comes from God, you'll be able to take up space, because that is your calling. Regardless of what happens, knowing whose you are and what you're doing is important. Okay? That's one thing. The other thing that I feel like we need to call out with taking up space is being prepared to get hated on. So I feel like although you can be in a situation where you're doing great things, people will notice that and try to bring you down. There's a term called tall poppy seed syndrome. Have y'all heard of that?
No, and educate me.
I literally found this as I was scrolling through LinkedIn, actually. So tall poppy seed syndrome is where you have an individual or a person who is doing well, who stands out amongst the crowd, but other people notice it and try to bring that person down.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think as you're trying to take space and being purpose-driven and aligned, that you should also be aware or cognizant of that particular phenomenon that can happen. I think I saw that when I was in a women in leadership group.
Dope. So before we go, Dr. Faith, what is the last words you would want to share with the world?
I wasn't prepared for that question. What I would want to share is, be true to yourself at the end of the day, because you're the person that's going to wake up in your own, mind, body, and soul. And so at the end of the day, you should be able to, the most important person is to be authentic to yourself and do things as if it's an audience of one, you and God.
Yeah. Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited once again to have Dr. Faith back with us. And I'm extra excited to have Miss Felecia Kamberly Rose, my co-host, with us on today. You are listening to or watching In the Spotlight podcast. Do me a favor and share this show with someone in your life, your girlfriend, your sister, your auntie, your mom, your grandmother. Someone needs to know about fibroids. Fellas, wives, share this with your husband so that we'll get a deeper understanding of what you're going through if you have to go through it. Do your research. We have Dr. Faith's information on social media. Follow her. Ask questions. We need to educate ourselves to be able to save lives and to be able to reach that next goal or that next destiny in our lives. And nothing should be able to hold us back whenever we have somebody like Dr. Faith on our side. I'm just telling the truth about it. But before we go, we're going to end the show like this because Dr. Faith is a woman of faith. Sis, I need you to go and close us with a good prayer.
Me? I'm just messing.
Yes, give me a good one.
Good one. Okay, Father God, you are an awesome God. We come to your throne to say thank you for everything. We are grateful for breath in our lungs and just being able to be here to share this platform. And we just want to say thank you and just continue to shine our light and to have people understand that nothing is impossible with you. Fibroids or not, Father God, we just want to say thank you, and thank you again.
That's what's up, everybody. It's your boy Taz, joined with the one and only Felecia Kamberly Rose with our special guest and family, Dr. Faith. This is In the Spotlight podcast. We'll see y'all later. Thank you.